Hi there. My name is Wendy James, and my new album, which is actually my 10th album, is called The Shape of History, and it's out this Friday, the 25th of October, worldwide. So let's talk about it.
Beautiful, Wendy. Thank you for joining us this evening.
My absolute pleasure. I'm so happy to be doing something Australian again.
Yeah, I know we haven't heard much of you on this side of the world, so it's good. Welcome back.
I know, I don't know if have you seen on my Instagram and my social media, but in the countdown to the album release on Friday, I've posted retrospectives of all of the previous nine albums from Transvision Vamp onwards, and then the Elvis collaboration, and then all my solo work. And the amount of Australian fans that are commenting, I mean, the whole world, but the amount of Australian fans that are commenting on those Transvision Vamp albums is astonishing. We had a really good time there. And have you seen the video for Do You Dig It? Do you love it?
I have, yes, yeah, all the old footage. It was good. It was a trip
And
down memory
so
lane.
much of that is from Melbourne
Oh, okay.
when we played Festival Hall.
Wow. Yeah, I think I was at high school back then when you guys were coming out, and yeah, it was probably one of my formative years of music was listening to you guys.
Wow. How about that? Well,
And
here we all are
here
with
we are,
an
one big
even.
happy family. Yeah, well, as you mentioned before, you will be releasing your 10th album and your fifth solo album, The Shape of History, this Friday, October 25th. So, how are you feeling about it?
Um, about this album, it seems to be getting a really good response. For me, the making of it was an absolute joy working with the musicians I work with and the engineers and some of it was recorded in London, some of it in New York and Brooklyn. It was mixed in Berkeley, California, and then it was mastered in New York. So it's been all around the world to arrive in a local store in Australia for you.
Fantastic. So, can you tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view and what you're actually going for with it?
I think I've been saying there is a consistency to my songwriting. I often say that my comfort zone is that CBGB Max's Kansas City, mid 70s to late 70s downtown new wave punk sound that the Americans did, even though I grew up with the English punks. It's actually that kind of grimy New York downtown scene that I really, really enjoy. So there's always that in all of my albums. But The Shape of History is probably just an expanded outlook and sound on, all of my albums have experimentation, not but they go off. So maybe there's a little country, maybe there's a little blues, maybe there's a little bit of girl pop. So, and this album, if it's got anything that marks it different to the other albums, is the fact that there's a bit of California sound in there as well. So, and it's called The Shape of History because it is my 10th album. And I did start when I was a teenager in 1986. And so you can kind of chart the course of my life through all the albums I've made. And therefore, you've got a shape of history.
Fantastic. And you've actually said that The Shape of
Hello?
History
Yeah,
is,
okay.
you said that it's a love letter and a thank you note to your life so far. So, how so? Is that in terms of the lyrics or is it in terms of experience?
Yeah. Yes, I think it's the experience of having lived for a few years now and just the wisdom that one acquires when one's slightly older. And, when you're a teenager and one thing goes wrong, you think that's the end of the world and that's a disaster and nothing's ever going to happen again, be it, in the work or ambition you're pursuing or even maybe a love life. But kind of when you get a little bit older, you know that all it is the old cliche that one door closes and another door opens. And challenges, obstacles are merely challenges to overcome and all those cliches. And so it's just looking back at some of the things I've been through that have been amazing and celebratory and joyous, but also there have, of course, been challenging times. And it's just to say that, the whole kit and caboodle of life is a good thing and embrace all of it.
Yeah. And you've released the singles, Do You Dig It? Do You Love It? Is It Groovy? Freedomsville and Everything Is Magic. So would you say that they're a good sonic representation of what you expect, or are they just scratch the surface?
Oh, there's even more in there. There's much more uh in there in terms of sounds of songs, but they're just three of my favorites. It was a completely random pick. Which ones do I like hearing? Everything is Magic is such a dark, rich, you know, beautiful ballad type of thing. Freedomsville is pure 80s synth techno, and much like Transvision Vamp originated with Trash City. And Do You Dig It, Do You Love It? Is It Groovy? Is pure what I was saying earlier, new wave pop and with really good attitude. And what your listeners will find interesting when you can see on all my social media, because I posted the video, all the footage accompanying Do You Dig It? Do You Love It? Is It Groovy? Is old Super 8 footage that we, Transvision Vamp, the band members, shot as we did all of our world tours. And so it's an incredible snapshot of time, whether it's the actual footage of the band or even just looking at the old police cars on the street and, or the old motorways. Or, for instance, there's shots with us at the Berlin Wall as it came down, because, that was 1989, our peak year, and also the year that communism kind of fell across Europe. So interesting times, and it was all captured on film because that's where we were living. That's what we were living through. So go and check the video out, and also then come over to my store, the wendyjames.com/store, and get your deluxe copy of the album on vinyl or CD. How about that?
That's fantastic. And it would have been a really cool trip down memory lane for you putting that video together too, because like as a musician, you're usually looking forward. You don't get a chance to reflect on the past as much as what you probably like. So putting together something like that would have been a nice trip down memory lane for you.
Yeah, when it's actually an Australian guy that does my editing and all my photography, called David Lee Dodd. And so I sent him all this footage and get them over to him. And he managed to reduce down 48 hours of solid footage into 3.5 minutes, which is quite a feat.
It ain't.
And he's a massive Transvision fan. So he was, because all of it is behind the scenes on the making of all of our videos. Baby, I Don't Care, I Want Your Love, Sister Moon, all these famous videos. And it's all behind the scenes stuff of that. So he every half an hour he was texting me saying he couldn't believe what he was watching because he was a fan. He was actually 14 or something, and his mum had told him he was too young to come to Festival Hall. So it's exciting for him to see all this stuff now. Yeah.
Now, the album starts with a beautifully ambient piano intro for the track Sweet Like Love. So most bands go for something more up tempo as the first song, but this one works really well for you. It's a beautiful intro to the album. What was it chosen for that reason?
Thank you. Well, all of my albums, all of them have come out with the track listing in which they were written. So this is literally the first song I wrote for The Shape of History. And so, and in my mind, I wanted to do almost like a musical interlude or an overture, like you get at the beginning, like for instance, the famous Woody Allen movie, Manhattan, and you see the cityscape of New York, and you hear Leonard Bernstein conducting George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. So I wanted to have kind of like, oh, there's an alarm. I wanted to have kind of a musical to all of his keyboards, and he came to me through James Glavunos, who always drums with me, and you may know him as Nick Cave's drummer as well. And and Dave had been on the road with Nick Cave as well, so James could vouch for him. So I flew over to New York and did the pianos with Dave. And the first thing he played me, because I'm really methodical. I start at track one and I work my way through whatever instrument we're on, whatever stage of the album we're at. And so I showed up in their little studio in Brooklyn, and Dave played me this beautiful bit of piano, and it's what a wonderful way to open the album. I just think it sounds heaven.
And I'm the same. Like I like my hard rock stuff a lot more, but listen to that is just it's an engaging way to start the album. It sort of puts you at ease
Yes.
right away.
Yes, it takes you in. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also kick off a 2-week run of in-store appearances from October 25th. So tell us about those.
Well, you can hear that I've got a little bit of a frog in my throat, a bit croaky. So, yes, we head out at 10 a.m. on Friday morning, UK time, drive up to Newcastle, uh, and start a 16-date tour of the UK. So we'll be playing, I'll be playing, we're doing 12 songs, which comes to about 15 minutes. And I'll be playing a selection of all the songs from this new album, and also two, no, I think it must be one actually, one off of each album I've done through the years. So there's something from, I'm doing I Want Your Love, I'm doing, what am I doing from Velveteen? Gosh, I can't remember what I chose. I was practicing it yesterday. But anyway, yes, something off each album. And also fielding some Q&A as well from the audience. You know, if they've got a funny or an interesting question they want to ask me, I'll have a microphone. I'm very happy to answer those questions. And then sign everybody's records at the merch desk at the end. So it should actually be a really fun evening in lieu of a bigger tour next year, I'm sure. But I also saw that Beyonce did it when she released Cowboy Carter the other month. She did an in-store tour of the US. I think it's a really good, much like that footage in Do You Dig It? We're signing records, aren't we?
Yeah.
And that is in Melbourne for sure. Um, so it's a really good way to meet, say hello to everyone. And
And
very beautiful to strip the songs down to just myself and a bit of grungy guitar. Like I can assure you it sounds like a cross between Johnny Cash and the White Stripes. So it's sounding really, really lovely
fantastic. Where can people find out more information about that and get themselves tickets?
in my store. So if you want to catch up on my discography, you can do it via there, and including all the information of this in-store tour. There's a QR code and a link to all the different venues.
Fantastic, Wendy. Well, thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. The Shape of History is out October the 25th. So best of luck with it, and you go and rest up, mate. Get that throat better.
Yeah.